Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Higher Level Podcast. As always, I have on with me Higher Level Head Coach James Doolan, and our special guest today is MMA legend Enson Inoue. Enson, thank you very much for giving us some of your time. We really appreciate it. So we're out in Scotland. We're still kind of stuck in lockdown at the moment. What's the situation for you out in Japan? I think you're dealing with things a little bit differently. So how is things out there at the moment?
Well, it's really weird because in Japan, it's against the law for the government to lock down people. So they can only request a lockdown, request people to close their stores. So when you go into the towns now, I'd say like 30% of the stores are closed. People still going around like nothing. So the only thing that's happening now is there's today we went to the veterinary and they were closed. Yeah. And all the markets, they all have like a plastic sheet in front of the cashier. So the post office. So they're doing a little more precautions, but up until like a month ago, 2 weeks ago, they were taking no precautions, except they always wear masks anyway. The Asian countries, they always wear masks, so they always had masks on. So we're yet to see if there's going to be a spike in the numbers, or if it's they actually got it into control. We get to see that.
Yeah. What's the numbers been like in Japan? Because I know out here in the UK, our numbers for a small country have been pretty bad.
But we know they don't test as much.
I don't know what the numbers are, but they don't really test. I had a friend that actually caught it. She was a nurse, and they wouldn't test her.
Really, that's weird.
She called the hospital, and they said that they asked her condition, and she was having a hard time breathing, but she could breathe on her own. So they told her that just stay home, don't come down to the hospital, just stay home, quarantine yourself. And she wanted to get tested. Just said, no, we won't test you. Just go. Just assume you have COVID and stay home.
And for you personally, how have you been dealing with it? Have you kind of been not going out as much and trying to stay home as much as you possibly can, or? Yeah.
So I've been abiding by I've been actually watching the news in the United States and in Hawaii, and they're doing they're staying home. So I got a big house, I got a big yard, I got 3 beautiful dogs, I got my girl here, so I got no problem staying home. So we've been just staying home and only going out for necessities like the supermarket to buy food.
Yeah. And in terms of obviously your involvement in gyms and obviously I know you do seminars and stuff like that as well, have you had to cancel a lot of stuff?
Yes, I had to cancel all my trips. So I have a shop in Hawaii that I usually go to, and I open up about 3 or 4 times a year. And I had a trip in April, and I was supposed to have a trip in June. So both those trips just got canceled. So financially, it's taking a hit. We're not having any cash flow. So the only way we're actually making money now is with the gemstones being ordered online.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've seen you do a lot of your travelling is based around going around and acquiring different stones and stuff like that. Yeah. You do the bracelets. It's all really custom made stuff you do, isn't it?
Yeah. So I go and personally shop for the stones on my own, and try to get the nicer one. I take pride in my company having some of the nicest stones I've seen around. So I like to do them out myself.
And when you're picking up stones and stuff like that, do you sort of tie your seminars in with that as well and try and do both things at once? I do try to do that, but it's the opposite way around, because wherever I go to get stones, like Hong Kong, China, sometimes I went to Guatemala. It's usually not places that have seminars. So what's interesting is I usually go to seminars, and then wherever I go, I ask around if they have any type of gemstones that are real popular. And like, for instance, when I went to Guatemala to do a seminar, I went and asked the guy if there's any popular gemstones. They said they're known for their jade. Mm-hmm. So I went into the jade towns, and I found that they had like I think Guatemala and Myanmar has the best grade A jade stones in the world. So kind of hit the jackpot there and bought a lot of jade.
So that's been the biggest impact for you then, that fact that you can't travel. And I guess the thing is, now it looks like, I mean, I don't think anybody knows when we'll be able to travel again.
Yeah, so my whole life is revolved around traveling. Buying the stone, going to Hawaii to open my shop. And I had a seminar that I did for 5 years in a row now in Pennsylvania. That, of course, that couldn't happen.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that are happening that's, a big change in my movement.
I guess it's like everybody at the moment. We just need to sort of adapt and try and make the best of it.
Yeah, I believe there's everything happens for a reason. And, this COVID change in lifestyle is going to probably have a direction that I'm going to find something that I never would have found if it wasn't for it. I believe that life moves in that way. So it's a struggle, but I'm not too concerned because I know something's going to come good, going to come out of it.
Yeah, that's it. I guess that's what all we can hope for, really. Obviously, having you on, one thing I know I've done is, and I'm sure James has done as well, is looking back through some of your fights, some fantastic fights. The one question I had to ask, so it's the Randy Couture fight. You done something that I hadn't really seen, that I've not seen that often since either, is you were attacking him with kicks for the bottom. Now, what I was interested in was, were you trying to lure him down? I know you obviously finished it with an armbar, but were you trying to get Randy to come down into your guard with those kicks?
No, my whole objective in that whole fight was to keep the pressure on Randy. So wherever I was, I wanted to keep pressure. As soon as the fight started, walked out with an inside leg kick, tried to break his leg on that. He took me down, and how as soon as when he stood up from my guard, I felt that I could kick from the bottom, so I started kicking from the bottom. When I had the chance, I stood up, went blow for blow with him. So my whole thing was just to keep the pressure on. And I think it worked because I think Randy actually said in one of the post interviews that they pretty much tried to prepare for my aggression, but until you face that in the ring, you can never prepare for something like that. So I think it did catch him a little off guard.
さあメインイベントです。エンセン井上がランディ・クートワと相まみえます。聞きましょう、体勢なんでしょうかね。もうスキンヘッドにして気合入りまくってますからね。動きも激しいエンセン井上。しかし布施さん、このクートはもちろん世界でもエンセン井上がアントニーの手。そのパンチ。エンセン井上一瞬の隙をついた右の前飛び込んでいった。あるいは井上には勝機は全くないのではないか。取りましたね。はい。ちょっと柳に風っていう感じですね。あ、これ十字狙ってますよ。
Yeah, and James, I'm sure you've got some questions about some of Enson's fights. I'll let you jump in.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I think I've seen all your fights, man. But with that style of aggression you've got when you fight, like the Igor Vovchanchin fight stands out for me, in the Frank Shamrock fights where you're hyper aggressive. Were you sparring like that to prepare for these fights? Like, were you training that way, as aggressive as you were in the fights in the gym?
Yeah, well, my like I wasn't like only doing standing and throwing toe to toe. We're doing everything. We're doing standing, wrestling, and ground with punches included. So old school training was pretty hardcore. So we would have Monday, Wednesday, Fridays where we went pretty hard, pretty much like the fight. And we'd have the standing first, and then after the standing rounds, we do the ground rounds. So we went pretty hard. So I never could keep a sparring partner for more than 2 fights. So I always had like a lot bigger guys that are way bigger than me that I could really just go hard on. So yeah, the sparring was pretty hardcore. A lot of injuries, when we got injuries, we didn't actually let ourselves heal enough, which I regret now. But yeah, it was just a grind, the train through pain, keep going. And the fights are like that too. So that's how we fought. That's how we trained.
How are you now for injuries and stuff like after?
I think only because I didn't properly take care of my injuries. I have a lot of injuries. I got minor ones like
my fingers don't straighten up. My fingers are all crooked. You know, my neck's bad. My shoulder doesn't lift. Can't lift my arm past this. You know, you can tell my neck is real stiff. You know, there's all these injuries, but as far as everyday life, it doesn't hamper me much. And there's a little inconvenience here and there, but nothing that, I want to get this fixed. There's no like chronic pain that I can't get used to. There is pain, but I think I've gotten used to a lot of the pain. But there's nothing that I need to get fixed. So, I mean, I've seen a lot of the other fighters here, Mark Coleman, Gary Goodrich, Don Fry, man, these guys are busted up. I thought I was busted up until I went to a expo in Syracuse, New York. And when I met them, man, I was like, whew, I looked at my girl and I said, I'm in pretty good shape. My body's not busted up that bad. So
even listening to you speak compared to those guys, you can tell, like some of the guys, you know, they've maybe taken some damage and you can hear it and when they're speaking. And they're maybe cognitive ability not as good. You're really like
you slur or talk slow, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think straight nose, you know, everything's pretty normal. I think.
What was it like back then, Enson? Because we obviously a lot of people look at the UFC now and see how global it's become, but I think sometimes people forget how big Pride was in its day. I mean, the capacity stadiums they were filling, that was insane. What was it like fighting through that? And
you mean the amount of people?
Yeah.
Yeah, Pride, like for example, the Nogueira fight I had at 50,000 people. I fought Bobo Chanchin in Cebu Dome, which is like almost like a 50,000 plus stadium.
Yeah.
So it was crazy, man. It was, and you know, as you know, Pride had an amazing production.
Yeah.
It was almost like walking through a movie set. The way they took care of you, the way the fans were, the way the production was. I mean, just to be in it, you know, it was amazing.
Yeah, it's something. Anybody that loves the UFC and anybody getting into sport new, I mean, it's something. You've got to go back and check out Pride. Got to go back and check out those early days.
All types of events all over the world, but I don't think I've been to one that has that electric energy and that crazy that movie setting like Pride did. Pride just knew how to throw a show.
Did it just have a certain feel about it? Was there almost an aura when you were fighting in Pride? You could just feel that?
Yeah, I mean, it was more the production, you know, the way they did things, the way they had the music, the way they had the fireworks display when they introduced the fighters, where they would have us placed up in certain areas and then the lights would come on. That kind of stuff was just amazing, just to be a part of that all. As far as the fights itself, man, once the lights turn on and the gong sounded, you know, I could be in a gym with nobody, a stadium with 1,000 people, a stadium with 50,000, and pretty much it's all me and that guy trying to hurt me across the ring.
Yeah, and it's a noticeable difference as well from the crowds out in Japan. So like even European crowds, American crowds, there's just a different feel. Obviously, the Japanese crowds are very quiet and almost more respectful, where it's a bit more what's the best word, boisterous in the American crowds. Did you prefer that the way the Japanese crowd were, where it was very quiet and it was a very respectful experience?
Yeah, I prefer the Japanese setting because my fights are like, I feel like it's a fight to the death, and that serene quietness is something very good to have. When I fought in UFC 13, they're like, the fans are screaming, half of them are drunk, and it was a real barbaric atmosphere. And that was also interesting because it brings about that barbaricness in you. But I like to have that more stoic, more you know, that level-headed warrior that's ready to die type of scenery or scenario that I like to be in. So I prefer that. You know, you could hear your cornerman. You know how the UFC is today, like when they have it, no fans, just in the arena?
Yeah.
That's how Japan is. You can hear your corner.
Yeah, it's watching the Pride fights, that was that was something it felt so different because of that. And like you say, watching recent fights, it is very similar. The one thing I wanted to ask you as well is we're seeing it's almost a trend over the last few years. Trash talking's always been a thing in all sports, but in MMA we're seeing a lot of guys emerging after corner like Colby Covington, Henry Cejudo, where you know it is an act. What's your take on that sort of style for guys to go down? So I know you're all about respect and honour, obviously.
Well, you know, it depends on the setting. Yeah, let me be honest. Yeah, back in my day, in the Pride days, if someone disrespected me and shit talked me the way Colby Covington or Conor McGregor does, the fight probably wouldn't happen. It probably would go on in the hotel or in the backstage. It would be a personal insult, and there would be no shaking hands after the fight, and it'd be pretty much a fight to the death. You know, I mean, I understand today it's more into the sport and now entertainment. So with the sport entertainment mixed in, you know, it's almost something that you need to understand that some of these guys are just selling the fight. I don't agree with it and I don't like it, but I do understand that that's a big part of making the sport interesting and creating viewers, and probably part of the reason why it's such a big sport today.
Yeah, do you think that just again shows the sort of difference in the fan bases? Because it's like your North American and European fans seem to appreciate that thing more. I know, James, we've spoke about this quite a lot in the past, and you're not a massive fan of guys doing it in the gym either.
No, I generally don't like it. I think I always kind of just bring it right back to martial arts. It's supposed to be a respect thing, and you have to respect anybody who's willing to get in a cage or a ring and put everything on the line and fight another person. But I understand that it's business, and it sells, and you've seen it in other sports like boxing and stuff like that. So I know it is important, but I think that some people can pull it off. I think if it's like true to their personality, but when you see guys trying too hard to be like that, I think it's quite cringy and stuff, and you can see through it pretty easy.
You know, I think I enjoy watching it also. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I do enjoy seeing that. It kind of gets me excited too. But for me, when I started, it wasn't about money or belts. It wasn't about getting famous. You know, it wasn't a big sport. It was about the martial art. So the whole thing we had was honor and respect, and being a good role model for kids and people that are watching. You know, I understand the shit talking and selling the fight, but I mean, what kind of example are you setting for kids that are starting to train martial arts and they think that that's the way to do it, is to be a dick and to be conceited and talk shit to your opponent? You know, that's the only part that, you know, I don't like about it, because it's considered a martial art. If it was considered pro wrestling, okay, fine, go for it. But this starts at the base of martial art, and the fact that there's no honor and there's a lot of disrespecting, it just rubs me the wrong way in deep inside.
Yeah. The other thing as well, this was actually one of the producers who wanted to know this. He was quite curious to know what's the current state of Japanese MMA like, from the regional scene upwards. What's the scene like over in Japan at the moment? Well, obviously not right at this moment due to everything going on, but what's the scene currently like out there?
When Pride was sold to the UFC, it took like a big plunge down and pretty much disappeared out of Japan. None of the networks wanted to touch it. There was no big events, promotions. So what happened was the fighters all trickled out and went elsewhere. So now that there's being a little bit of a comeback, you know, there's still no big, huge Japanese star that actually is a star in the world. So that's a problem right now. You know, as far as the Rising coming back, you know, and One coming into the scene, Shooto has always been there, but you know, these associations are keeping it going. Rising is bringing some excitement, but still hasn't been able to grab a hold of any of the top fighters.
Mm-hmm.
So the scene is getting better. I mean, by the year it's getting better, but at a very, very slow pace. It wasn't like Pride, how every year it just went like
peaked higher and higher and higher. So that Pride was special. I don't know if there's ever going to be another Pride.
Yeah, and Pride, I mean, when you look at it, Pride really, the guys at Pride really did stiff the UFC. I mean, what was it, 65 million? And realistically, what they bought was a bunch of tapes of fights. And but you'll probably know this better than me. The guys at Pride, when they sold to the UFC, when they were in the offices, did they not start building Dream while they're kind of working for the UFC?
Yeah, but it wasn't the same people. I think Dream. Fuck, what was Dream? Dream was part of K1, wasn't it?
Was it? Yeah. I thought it was. I might be wrong. I thought it was actually guys for Pride who were formerly of Pride who were involved in Dream, but I could be wrong.
Dream. Wait, K1 had one too, yeah. So wait, Dream. Because I know Sakakibara, the president of, he wasn't allowed to start another association until 7 years. That was part of their contract with Dana White. Is they couldn't run any fighting event for 7 years, and that's when Rising came about right at the 7th year. So I think Kato, a guy named Kato was a big part of Dream, and he was pretty much the guy who did all the legwork for Pride.
Right,
yeah, Dream
right.
Come about after Pride. It was after Pride Dream came out.
And the other thing as well is obviously you're from Hawaii. We've seen Max Holloway a lot trying to push for a card in Hawaii. Is that something you would really like to see as well?
Oh, you mean a UFC in Hawaii?
Yeah, UFC in Hawaii.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Because you could fill the one side of the card with Hawaii fighters. There's a bunch of Hawaii. They got Ige just fought. They have they have the Christian. Oh, they're fighting for one though. Yeah, but they have a lot of fighters. They have a lot of good fighters in Hawaii.
Yeah, Yancey as well's Hawaii, isn't it?
Holloway.
Yeah,
got a lot of fighters in Hawaii.
Perfect.
So they should. Why? To the Hawaii people, they love fights. So if the UFC were going to Hawaii, one, a lot of Hawaiians would go and watch the fight. Two, who doesn't want to go to Hawaii and get a double? Watch the UFC fights and get a Hawaiian holiday.
I'm pretty sure if the UFC go to Hawaii, James, will you be hoping one of your guys get booked on that card?
100%. I'd love to go there. It looks beautiful.
Enson, what did you make of the UFC fights recently? That the Justin Gaethje and Tony Ferguson fight.
Oh, okay, yeah, that was an unreal fight.
Yeah,
and Justin Gaethje, the way they fought, it was, man. Justin hits hard. Tony's tough as nails. I think just Justin was a better fighter that night, and I mean, I thought it was one of the best fights we've had in 2020.
Yeah, I mean, it was an amazing fight. I think it's by far the best Justin's ever looked, especially since coming into the UFC. Fought really. I mean, he held himself back at times. He's obviously got a great cornerman in there, and Trevor Whitman. That guy's a genius.
If Justin fights like that from now, he's going to give everyone trouble.
That's what I was going to ask you. Obviously, the matchup with Justin and Khabib, I know a lot of people see Justin and his striking and his power, but he's got a fantastic background in wrestling. Do you think that's a difficult fight for Khabib, Justin?
Yeah, I think because Justin can probably fight off the tackle for a bit, and the fact that he strikes so hard and hits so hard, I think he's a real danger for Khabib.
Yeah.
And because wrestling isn't just not staying off the ground, wrestling is also getting up. The wrestlers are good at getting up. And Justin has good stamina. I mean, I always thought Tony Ferguson would have been the worst fight for Khabib because he has good stand-up and his ground's really good and he's really dangerous with his elbows. But after seeing that fight, man, the way Justin hits and the way his aggression and his wrestling, I'm thinking he'd be a pretty crazy fight for Khabib too.
Yeah, and the other one I wanted to get you on, I know you'd put something out about this. It was the Anthony Smith Glover Teixeira fight. Give me your thoughts on that in terms of the referee. Maybe should he have stopped it? Should the corner have stepped in? What do you think on that fight? Do you feel that fight went too long?
No, not at all. I mean, I even wish that they didn't stop fights so early, because I always
that, you know, where the warrior in a fighter starts is where they stop fights today. You know, so
yeah.
I disagree with them even stopping championship fights. You know, like even the Dominic Cruz fight. Let him get knocked out. And they say, you know, you got to watch for the fighter's safety. You don't want the fighter agrees that they're not in a chess match, they're not in a tennis match, they're in a fight. And if you're going to be fighting at that level, you need to be ready to sacrifice and to put it on the line. You have to. And, you know, the Anthony Smith fight, you know, they were criticizing the corner for not stopping it. You know, I feel that that's something that only Anthony and his corner knows.
Yeah.
You can stand outside and look at the corner and Anthony and not even seeing a single day of training and say they should have stopped it. But your assessment means jack shit because the corner trains with Anthony every single day. They know him better than anybody knows him.
And I think Anthony Smith has come out and basically said that he's told his corner if any of them stop a fight for any reason, they will never be in his corner again. What Anthony was saying, it's not his corner's job to... Yeah, Anthony's basically said it's not his corner's job to stop a fight. That's what a referee and a doctor's for. They're there to give him advice, not stop fights. So he has come out and defended his corner, and that would be why they wouldn't step in, obviously. And just lastly, James, have you got any other questions you want to ask Enson? I know there must be a couple.
I've got a ton. I'll try and keep this short, man. What was your favourite fight?
Of which like so far?
Your career.
Oh, for my career, my favorite fight, I think the most fun I had and the most growth I've had was probably with Frank Shamrock.
Yeah, that was a great fight.
Up until Frank Shamrock, I was more a grappler, and I threw punches, but I never was about throwing toe-to-toe. And then when I did that with Frank, I realized how, it's a weird thing to say fun, because it was nerve-wracking, and we did try to kill each other, but it was enjoyable, and it wasn't as scary as I thought it would be. I thought being toe-to-toe with someone would be more scary. So most fun was Frank Shamrock.
Yeah, that was fun to watch. I think most people don't understand that fighters can get in a place like that where they're actually enjoying themselves, and that it looks so violent and chaotic, but I'm pretty sure Frank Shamrock was enjoying that as well at the same time. But another question would be, who's your favourite fighter to watch right now?
The fighter to watch today?
Yeah.
Justin Gaethje, Khabib. I got a whole bunch of them, because the way they fight, Justin Gaethje, the way he fought, it was like almost like if I had to put fighters out, Justin Gaethje, Khabib, even Ferguson's good to fight. Wei Li and Joanna, that was an amazing fight too. I mean, I like that when you have fights where people are trying to seriously put themselves up against that person and see who's the stronger fighter instead of trying to win by points. You saw Wei Li and Joanna, how they went at each other. Khabib and Justin, man. Those are the fighters I like to watch.
Same. Last question from me. Are you still wearing a purple belt in jiu-jitsu?
All right.
Are you still wearing it? Yeah.
No.
Did you go back to the black belt?
Yeah, well, that whole thing was just blew me away, because I actually decided to go back on the mats. I haven't done it for like 10 years. I did some MMA stuff, but as far as jiu-jitsu, I didn't do it for like 10 years. And I just decided to, my body was tightening up. My agility was getting bad, gaining weight. So I thought, that's a good way. Jiu-jitsu is a good way to get a sweat, a good way to burn calories, and a good way to get your body back moving and get flexible again. So my whole thing was just getting on the mat and, having fun and getting my movement back, not even thinking of competing or belts or anything. And when I went there, I was having problems with my purple belts. Yeah. My purple belts were passing my guard like I was a white belt. I had to scratch and bite, and sometimes I wouldn't even be able to pass their guard. And I just sat back after the first training, pretty much in awe that, holy shit, the game has passed me by. And so it was a personal journey. John Lewis will always be the person who gave me my black belt, whether I put it on now or put it on later. But I was just thinking in my eyes was like, okay, I don't feel like I'm a black belt level. I got to catch up to it. So in the meantime, I think I'm about a purple belt because I was kind of up and up with my purple belts. So I'll put on a purple belt and I'll just, it won't be like, oh, Enson's back down to purple. I'll enter purple. I'm not entering anything. I'm still a black belt, but I'll put on my purple belt and I'll earn my way back to a black belt in today's jiu-jitsu.
Is that a purple belt mentality then?
I think just saying my technique was just purple belt. I just was looking at technique alone and I felt it was purple belt. So I just put it on my purple belt. My students that I gave black belts to were kind of like, whoa, no, but of course you're not going to tell them no. So I put it on and then I just my girl took a picture and I just figured out, people will learn through your experiences. So I figured out, put it on Facebook. People would find this journey a little interesting and took a picture and said, okay, I'm going to start purple belt. And oh my God, the next day I woke up, the podcast offers and the messages and even some people actually didn't like what I did and actually sent me messages saying that's ridiculous. So, I didn't even imagine it was going to get like that. And I did wear the purple belt and I did train in the purple belt. And the reason why I have my black belt on again is not because I've got that good that now I consider myself a black belt in the new school jiu-jitsu. It's because John Lewis actually gave me a call and actually talked some sense into me. I always looked at it as if I'm a cell phone expert and I disappear from the cell phone and when there's a flip phones and I disappear for 10 years and I come back and there's smartphones, I can't call myself a cell phone expert. I'd have to learn the smartphone all over again. And I just felt that's how it is. Okay, I'm going to go back to purple and learn the smartphone now. But John Lewis actually drew it to me really well. And he said, a jiu-jitsu black belt, when you earn a jiu-jitsu black belt, it's not like being a cell phone expert. It's like being a doctor. If you have a doctor that stops practicing for 10 years and he decides that he wants to start practicing again, he goes back and learns all the new medicine, the new techniques as a doctor. He doesn't go back down to a graduate and go to graduate school and go to med school and do everything all over again. He does it as a doctor. So John also pointed out something real huge. I got a lot of people telling me, most of the people are saying that so humble. The humility is incredible. And I sat back thinking, like, I don't feel like I'm being humble, though. I'm just being honest with the whole situation. I don't think I'm being humble. And some people were saying, oh, you're doing it for attention. And I knew that was totally some people that just didn't like what I was doing. And John told me, hey, and said, you know what the problem is? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, the problem is a lack of humility as a black belt. And I was like, oh, I'm not being humble now. I'm like, whoa. I'm saying, wait, what does that mean? And when he said that, I thought about it. I did feel really uncomfortable wearing a black belt, not being able to pass a purple belt's guard.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, I didn't realize it. But when I did put on the purple belt and I rolled with my purple belts, I felt no pressure anymore because now I'm a purple belt. Wow. And then when John said that and I thought back about the sparring, I was like, holy shit. He's right, man. I got to put back the black belt and I got to learn to be humble as the black belt. I got to learn humility again. So that's the reason why I put it back on. And I was like, oh, damn, I just told everybody I'm purple belt. Now I got a black belt. Looks like I'm full of shit. But
As we're always learning every day, aren't we? That never stops until our last day.
Yeah. So I mean, it's still a journey and process. You know, I roll for a couple of weeks, and all of a sudden my knee's swollen, and I got to take a break.
Yeah.
So it's a slow process, but I enjoy it. I'm gonna just make sure I enjoy it. I'm not trying to compete. I'm not trying to be the best black belt there is. I'm just trying to embrace the journey, really.
That's perfect. Well, James stole my last question. That's what I was going to ask you about. He beat me to the punch. Just one quick thing before we let you go, Enson. With regards to your bracelets and stuff like that, are they available for anyone to buy online, or is there anywhere people can go to get them?
Yeah, you go on destinyforever.com. So destinyforever is one word.com. So that's the website. And there's a bunch of sample bracelets on the site that you can look at, or you can just email me. It'll be me or my girl that looks at the emails, and if you give us a reason why you want what you want it for, if you want it for certain ailments, how you want the look, we can custom one for you. And yes, we do send all over the world. We've sent all over the world. So
perfect.
That's if you go to destinyforever.com. And the interesting thing about the website is not just about the bracelets. You look, there's a media section. We have all the media I've done. There's the missions I've done where I went up north to help the people up north. There's videos of the mission. So you can learn a lot about me going to that site, destinyforever.com.
Brilliant. Perfect. Well, listen, Enson, thanks very much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. And obviously, stay safe out there in Japan.
Right on, man. Nice. Thanks for having me, guys. And you guys take care. And if any time you just want to do it again, just let me know.
Absolutely, mate. We'll definitely take you up on that, Enson. Thank you.
Right on, man.